Okay, I hope this is better. I tried to do a live stream a minute ago, but I don't know, something happened with the connection. So I hooked up to the Wi-Fi this time. But yeah, as I was saying in the previous live stream, which got interrupted, is this is my Supra at the moment. And apparently there's a lot of hype about the Supra online right now because this is the last Supra they made before the new one that's coming out. And I must have got like 100 messages from people asking me or saying, oh, you know, in this episode or that episode, I saw a Supra in the background. Thanks. And yeah, so a bunch of people asked me to show the car. And this is where the car is at right now, sitting in the garage on the lift. Actually, I let it down just to show everybody. And here's the new engine I'm currently literally at this moment putting together. This is a brand new short block. And yeah, it was a long story, but I have a hidden camera show that I'm producing, and one of the first episodes is supposed to be this Supra. It was supposed to be back in October, November, and I swapped out the clutch over here. This is the new clutch. This is a single disc Kevlar clutch, and the previous clutch was a carbon fiber triple disc from RPS. I didn't like it. And then this harmonic balancer too. This was like a $1,200, $900 at the time. And it's no good. You know, this problem with performance parts is that you spend all this money, and I was not really smart. I was really stupid because I was really busy back then. I wasn't doing film full time. I had another business, but you know, I went off of other people's advice. They said, oh yeah, buy this harmonic balancer. I put it on and it was causing damage to the engine. If you see the mating surface of harmonics from the crankshaft. So, yeah. So I swapped it out with a stock harmonic balancer, or I'm going to swap it out, which is this one right here. Yeah, and if you have any questions, shoot them over about anything that you're seeing, and I'll show it to you up close, and there's a story behind almost everything that you see. So, for instance, here's the stock harmonic balancer. And if you see the amount of rubber, here, right there. If you see the amount of rubber in between the two pieces, that's enough to absorb some type of vibration. That, on the other hand, not so much. But again, this is what happens when you don't use logics and you just listen to other people. I just threw it together. It damaged some of my bearings, which are in that old engine. There's the old engine right here. This is the old block that I just took out. And, you know, took all the pistons and the connecting rods out. Let me know if you're having any quality issues here with the stream. But that's mainly why I'm getting on here and doing this live stream, because everybody, they've been sending me messages for months. And here are the pistons that came out of the old engine. The reason that I took these pistons out is one reason, for these connecting rods right here. These are H-beam Carrillo rods. I don't know, I can't remember how much power they hold, but it's a lot. So I have to pull out that new block, set it up. I'm going to keep the stock pistons with the rings, pull out the connecting rods. I'm setting this up right now. I'm going to pull out the connecting rods, swap them out with those connecting rods over there. And I'm going to do a little video on this channel, just a small video about, I've always been curious to see if these connecting rods, for one, they're supposed to come balanced. So I have a really sensitive scale. I'm going to measure these and see if they're actually balanced. For the connecting rods means that they all weigh the same, each assembly. So it doesn't cause too much internal vibration. And yeah, I want to see if these are actually balanced. And then I'm really curious to see if this assembly weighs less than the stock assembly with the piston and the connecting rod and bearing is the stock setup. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'm just going to show you around. I wish I had some music, but I don't. I'm going to show you everything. If you have any questions, just comment here, and I'll be glad to answer them. This is the turbo. This is the head. I blew up this head about 4 years ago. Oh, actually, I have the old head over here to show you. Check this out. All experience. This head dropped the valve in the cylinder and went kaboom. And that's what damaged, that's what damaged the head. And these were oversized, 2mm oversized titanium valves. I had a lot of money invested in this head. What a waste. And one thing, again, back then, I was super busy with projects outside of my compound. And one thing that I didn't look into was the duty cycle or the life cycle of these racing. These are racing titanium racing valves. And what these guys don't tell you unless you really ask is the stock valves have a very long life cycle. These titanium racing valves, they're light, they're super strong. I mean, I don't know how much lighter this is than the stock valves, but it's quite a bit lighter. But what they don't tell you is these are made to change. I think, I can't remember, it's been 5 years, but I think he said every 2,000 to 3,000 miles, depending on the RPM, the maximum RPM you're hitting. The higher the RPM, the shorter the life cycle. These are just made for races. You race it, you know, a few races, you change the valves. Kind of stupid. This isn't really made for, a street car like mine. But basically, I had a lot of money dumped into this because I sent it out to Texas, this place called SHP Racing Heads. They ported and balanced everything. You can see the ported there. It's all hand ported. So I couldn't really stomach throwing this thing in the alley, even though it's tore up like that. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe use it as a paperweight, but yeah, that's the head. That came off of that block originally. But this time I'm going to do it right and definitely share this project that I'm doing once it gets filmed. It's going to be kind of like a video game style. It's going to be really cinematic. It's going to be for another channel on YouTube. It's a hidden camera show I was producing for MTV. MTV messed it all up, so I brought it back to YouTube, and I think it's going to be really awesome. I'm combining like robotics with cinematics and all kinds of cool ideas. I'm trying to merge them, and that's what I specialize in, is hybrid content. Yeah, so here's all the parts. This is the upper and lower oil pan, the alternator, the motor mount, serpentine belt. That's our RC starter. There's the oil sump pickup. The fuel injectors, I'm running E85, so I have, these RC 1600cc injectors. I got dual blow-off valves, which I think I won a couple trophies for back in the day. Here's all the parts. This is how I do it. Everything's in order. So when I go to put all this together, it goes in the reverse order, and I took it off by bag. So I start off here, rear seal, main bolts, oil pump, and just go down the list, and it keeps my mind straight. There's the water pump. Yeah, and that's it. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to ask away. I can show you the inside of the car a little bit. And I think this car I bought from an NFL football player that played on the Indiana Colts. He had 3 of these. He had a red, a white, and a black. And I bought this thing with, this one I think I bought it with 12,000 miles. And I modified it right away. This one has 60,000 miles on it now. The motor before, the 2 motors before that, 2 engines before that, well, made up the majority of the mileage. But yeah, that last engine only had 4,000, maybe 8,000 miles on it. And it's a little bit beat up because it went through a couple engine swaps, but I'm going to clean all this up and repaint it. And yeah, that's about it. So that's where my Supra is at right now. Hopefully, I see a lot of people missed this live stream already. And yeah, and for so long this car sat in the garage. I have these CCW wheels, which are like literally the strongest wheels that I know of. They're kind of corroded, but you'll see some of the footage of me getting this car back together in that episode I'm telling you about. And I'm going to polish all this stuff up. Polish up all the, oh, I forgot to show the 100mm throttle body with the valve side intake manifold, this giant intake manifold. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And this one is a precision turbo. It's I don't remember what the compressor trim is. I think this was a 67mm, I'm sorry, turbine trim. It's a 67mm compressor trim. And all this is custom piping that I made right here. This is all custom stainless steel piping. And what I did here is I wasn't really happy with the headers that they sold for these cars, because in these Supras, it's really common to hear the exhaust through the actual pipe of the header. You hear a little tick, 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 like that. So what I did is I just took some stainless steel tubing. I think I did like 1/8 inch or 3/16 thickness. And I just built my own pipe. And it's like, it's solid. Under the engine compartment of this car, when it's running, you don't hear anything. All you hear is the exhaust note, which sounds like music. So yeah, so that's it. That's my Supra. If there's the valve covers right here, the custom plate. Oh, there's a custom top plate right there. Yeah, and if you guys want to see anything else that I didn't show you here, I'm going to end this live stream now. Make it short and sweet. I think I showed you all the parts and kind of where it's at. If there's anything that I didn't show you or talk about, or you missed this live stream, don't give it a dislike just because you missed it. That's not my fault. That's YouTube's fault. But I do notice that if I'm on Wi-Fi, a lot less people get notified than if I'm on the actual network for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, if you missed anything, you missed the live stream, don't dislike it. Just leave a comment below of something that you wanted to see or whatever, and I can do another live stream tomorrow. Yeah, that's about it, guys. See ya. Adios.